Hello, welcome to yet another episode of Shine the Fine Arts. Today we are going to discuss about mediums for oil painting. First thing I would like to mention, why do we use mediums for oil painting? In case of watercolor or acrylic painting, when you are needing to dilute the paint to make it spread better on the surface, we use water. But water is not usable in case of oil painting. So that is where the necessity of mediums come in. So I will kind of try to go over the different kind of mediums and paint thinners. I will also make a very detailed demonstration, not like long videos, but demonstrative videos of how to use the thinner and how to use each of the mediums that I have used so far. But this is more of like an informative video of different kinds of thinners and mediums that are generally used and that I use or that I would recommend. And as soon as I say what I recommend, I have to mention that this is like my liking based on my style of works and what I have experienced so far. And it is very well possible that somebody else's experiences will be totally different and they will like a totally different brand or medium as such. So once again, you will have to experiment enough to understand what works for you. Now, before I go into paint thinners and mediums, let me first tell you what oil paints are made of. Any typical oil paint has two main ingredients: oil, which is generally the linseed oil, and paint pigments. The linseed oil helps binding the paint pigments together, and this typically is of the consistency of like a toothpaste, any oil paints. And now when you're painting, you would want to thin it a little bit to help it spread on your surface, the canvas surface or the wood panel surface that you're painting on. And then comes the need of paint thinners. So let's talk about paint thinners first. Originally, long time ago, people used to use turpentine. Now, turpentine has a very strong smell. Now, I'm not saying that not everybody dislikes that smell, but it often gives you a headache. It definitely gives me a headache, especially I have chronic migraines, so it does not suit me. I do not mind the smell, but it does not suit me at all. Especially in where I live, there is like 8 months of winter where I have to keep my doors and windows closed most of the time, so that paint stays on inside, the smell stays on inside the room, and it is not advisable at all. So nowadays there is a variety of odorless mineral spirits, OMS, and that are used instead of turpentine nowadays. And my personal favorite is Mona Lisa odorless mineral spirit. And no, I'm not paid by Mona Lisa to recommend it, but this is my favorite, mainly because of the price. It is much cheaper than the other brands that I like too, like Gamsol. That's great too. There are several others. You can use any one of them. All the paint thinners pretty much work the same. It is just that now the odorless part is kind of important. But just because it is odorless, don't let it fool you. It is still toxic. And if you're breathing it, if you're working with it constantly, it could be not so good for your health in the long run. So when you're not using your paint thinners, what I do is I typically put it in little jars like this, or a little bit bigger jars than this. And when you're not using it, keep the lid covered and keep it away from children and pets, especially if you have small pets like birds. You do not want to keep them in the room while you're painting with odorless mineral spirits. And like I said at the very beginning of the paint, like I said at the very beginning of the video, what paint thinners does is it thins the paint. So I use it at the very first layer of the painting when my goal is to cover maximum surface of the canvas that I'm painting on. It helps helps the paint to move smoothly on the surfaces, and that is what my goal is when I'm working on the initial layers, to coverage of the whole canvas area. So that is all paint thinners do. Now comes in mediums. The most common mediums that I have kind of experienced or seen other people work with is linseed oil, stand oil, galkid, and liquin. Now my major experience is working with either linseed oil and liquin, so I will only cover these two mediums today, and when I do my demonstration of how to use it, I will show you those as well. So look for my upcoming videos. I'll do them soon. And as for galkid and stand oil, I have used them, but not as extensively to give you so much information. So let's start with linseed oil. This was the most commonly known or used medium. The only drawback with linseed oil is it has a pretty long drying time. Depending on the temperature and the humidity and the weather conditions, it could take about anywhere from 2 to 4, even a week to dry out just one layer. So if you are in a hurry, and if you are working with a deadline to finish it, I don't think linseed oil would suit your purposes. But for working with oil paints, it works very well. How I use linseed oil is I would start using a little bit at each layer. After the first layer, which I said I use only odorless mineral spirits in the first layer when I'm just covering up. In the next layer, I would introduce a little bit of linseed oil, say 1:1 ratio of OMS and linseed oil. And in the next layers, as I proceed with the layers, I will up the quantity of the linseed oil each time. So the ratio of mineral spirits will go down, and the ratio of linseed oil or any medium as such will go up. And the reason we do that is because of the fat over lean theory that works with acrylic and oil paints. And I will probably make a different video to explain that in detail, what fat over lean means. But ideally, as the name sounds like, fat over lean means when you are starting to paint, you are painting in lean layers where there is less oil, whether it is liquin or linseed oil, there's less of that. And fat means more oil. So you start with leaner layers and go towards fatter layers. So less quantity of oil to more quantity of oil. So that's how the ratio varies. In case of liquin, if you're using liquin, I wouldn't suggest mixing OMS and liquin. I would straight up use liquin in the process. And that's pretty much it about liquin. And liquin, I have to mention that it is a very fast drying medium. So no matter what I am painting, it will dry up in a day. So if I finish my painting the first layer, say about 8 o'clock in the night, by next morning I would be ready to paint the next layer. That is the most important advantage of liquin. And slowly but steadily I am becoming a fan of liquin. I'm moving from linseed oil towards liquin. So I can say that that's one of my preferences now. With that, I think that's all I know, and I can let you know about mediums in general. So look for my upcoming videos for demonstrations, and as usual I will put a link to my website and Facebook page in the video description below, so that you can check up or follow me and follow what are the upcoming videos and what I'm currently working at. And once again, thank you for watching. Hope you find this video informative. Have a good day.